What the hell am I doing out here? I thought this was a cricket match. I thought they were at bloody Madison Square Garden.
There's an enormous feeling between the public and that team. They were a good bunch. One, they were a good bunch of blokes. Two, we could play cricket and we played a decent brand of cricket. And three, we had a damn good time together.
You make me laugh. You make me cry. Mr.
The exploits of the Chapel Gang brought fans back to cricket in their thousands. The money might have been piling into the coffers of the Australian Cricket Board, but the players weren't getting it.
When I first played for Australia, it was $200 for a test match. $200. Mate, we used to drink that on the first night.
We looked at each other and we said, now hang on. You know, the gate takings are $250,000. We're being, 12 of us, we're being paid $200. That's $2,400. OK, so England have got to get some. Where the hell's the rest of it going?
The Australian Cricket Board, under the leadership of Don Bradman, clung to the belief that the honour of representing Australia was compensation enough.
The administration at the time was mired in a bygone era, and the feeling was, well, if you blokes don't want to play, we'll find some others that do. And we felt that we were not being treated well and we weren't being respected. And we reacted accordingly. We let it be known that we weren't happy with the situation.
Word of the players' resentment reached one of the new breed of Australian businessmen, Kerry Packer, a media mogul who had long coveted the TV rights to cricket.
Well, I like the game. I enjoy watching cricket. I don't think because I enjoy the game that necessarily I have to agree with all the traditions.
He went to the Australian Cricket Board. He said, we're all whores, what's your price? And they sent him on his way, thinking that they'd never hear from him again. Well, Packer thought that if they won't give me the rights to Australian Test matches, I'll create my own. I'll create my own independent, outlaw, televised cricket circuit, and I'll call it World Series Cricket.
These are the men who put the cat among the pigeons. They believe the concept of World Series cricket will be good for cricket and good for them. Their revolution has already won fairer rewards for cricketers. That was one of their aims. They have another, to bring you the best cricket played anywhere in the world. 55
Behind the scenes, Packer had persuaded many of the world's best players to abandon their national sides and join unofficial Australia, West Indies and rest of the world teams. Many in the press and public saw it as a betrayal.
I was at Melbourne Airport and I was just walking along and some guy came up to me and he said, "You're a traitor." Now, I mean, that word really gets up my nose at the best of times. And I grabbed hold of this bloke and I started abusing him, and one of his mates came home and he said, go easy on him, mate, he's had a heart attack. I said, if he calls me a traitor again, he'll have another bloody heart attack.
Launched in December 1977, World Series cricket got off to a slow start.
Australian spectators have been a bit dubious about the Packer series in the sense they thought it was a bit of an exhibition. They thought as though their players perhaps weren't really trying. Even though there was a lot of money on the line, did it really matter?
If the players were to convince the public that they were in it for more than just the money, they would need to show it on the pitch.
Andy Roberts here, the most experienced of the West Indian fast bowlers, and a great fast bowler in his own right. Coming on to see if he can put the brake on.
Hit him.
When Australian batsman David Hookes had his jaw broken by West Indian bowler Andy Roberts, the intensity of the competition was no longer in doubt.
And he's in trouble.
In a sense, David Hookes shed blood for World Series cricket, and by his blood he authenticated the exercise.
And he's retired hurt for the moment on 81.
Basically, it was unbelievably tough cricket. We also had in the initial stages some very ordinary pitches. And so, that's why the crash helmet was born, or the helmet was born.
And could be the first strike, and Lilly, the man to do it. Well, it's the first time we've seen that helmet tested out in action, and here it is.
Kerry Packer wanted it to be tough. He wanted it to be entertaining. Above all, he wanted it to rate on television. I think he quite liked the idea of revving the game up as well.
You've been training all the winter, and there's not a team that's fitter, and that's the way it's got to be. Because you're up against the best you know. This is super test, you know, and you've got to beat the best the world has seen. Lily's pounding down like a machine. Pascoe's making divots in the green. Marsh is taking wickets. Brooks he's clearing pickets. And the Chapel's eyes have got that killer gleam. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on.
World Series cricket finally won over the Australian public, with radical innovations like night games and brightly coloured clothing. Players were now well-paid professionals, well protected under helmets. Packer had reinvented the game as a prime-time spectacle, with its own theme tune.
The Australians have won by 5 wickets. And here comes the stampede.
Cricket needed a revolution. You know, we were stuck in the 40s and 50s, maybe even the 20s and 30s, and cricket needed to be dragged, you know, kicking and screaming into the 20th century, and that's what World Series cricket did.
Packer had proved his point, and in 1979, the World Series came to an end when the Australian Cricket Board finally agreed to collaborate. The rush to fill Packer's TV schedules with officially sanctioned cricket would lead to a punishing timetable of Test and one-day games that put new captain Greg Chappell under immense pressure.
The captain in those days served almost as the coach, the manager, the media manager. He was doing everything. So players, even a player as great as Greg Chappell, was beginning to buckle under the strain.
In 1981, New Zealand needed a 6 from the last ball to tie a dramatic one-day match against Australia and force yet another game.
Long discussion. Well, it looks to me as if they're going to bowl underarm off the last ball. Rod Marsh is saying no, mate, but I'm sure he's going to bowl an underarm delivery.
Greg Chappell would deny New Zealand the chance to tie the game by instructing his youngest brother, Trevor, to bowl underarm. A desperate measure to avoid another match.
The batsmen have been told, and this is possibly a little bit disappointing, they're going to bowl an underarm. They ever believed it? And that's a disappointing finish. Disappointed Brian McKechnie, the crowd boo, and it's all over.
In a bid to relieve the pressure on Chappell, Kim Hughes began to share the captaincy. But he too found the burden of leading a weakened side against opponents like the mighty West Indies too much to bear.
The constant speculation, criticism and innuendo by former players and section of the media over the past 4 or 5 years have finally taken their toll. It is in the interest of the team It is in the interest of the team, Australian cricket.
Kim Hughes' tearful resignation in 1984 left Alan Border in charge. If Australia was going to return to winning ways, he needed help. The first step was the appointment of a veteran player as the country's first full-time coach, Bob Simpson.
We just need to get back to the simple fundamentals of the game, you know, the work ethics, doing it right. And that's what we worked on, running between wickets, bowling line and length. And in the end, we became a very, very competent team.
Simpson's training regime propelled Australia to an unexpected victory in the